And so, Doctor Who is back. The first episode of Season 2, or Series 15, depending on which one you want to go, The Robot Revolution, debuted yesterday. Now, there have been rumblings in the rumour mill that following this particular season of Doctor Who, the show may be going on an extended hiatus, possibly due to their contract with Disney+. I'm not going to dwell too much on this, because Doctor Who is one of my favourite shows. I hope it doesn't end, but if it is, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But anyway, the first episode of Series 15, or Season 2, The Robot Revolution. This starts off right away introducing us to our new companion, Belinda Chandra, played by returning actress Varada Sethu. And we see her in a somewhat awkward relationship with a guy named Alan Budd, played by Johnny Green. For a present, he gives her a certificate that states that she's had a star named after her, Miss Belinda Chandra. He's like, why Miss? He's like, well, you're not married, are you? No. Well, that's correct. Yeah, this guy sat a bit awkwardly with me. I mean, I can't really argue with that. But anyway, we then jump forward 17 years later to 2025, indicating that the first scene was around 2008. God, now I feel old. But anyway, Belinda is now, she may have already been working as a nurse, but we now see her fully on working as a nurse at a hospital, to which the Doctor is trying to track her down, having been turned on to her by someone. I'm not entirely sure who. They may have said in the episode, I may just have missed it, but Doctor is trying to find her. He doesn't manage to, and Belinda eventually ends up going home to a house that she shares with two other people. I think they're just supposed to be housemates, sharing the rent, I think. However, she is soon distracted when two robots end up bursting into her home to take her away to a spaceship. And we see briefly that her neighbour is Mrs. Flood, played once again by Anita Dobson. The mystery surrounding this character, they're still there. I'm just watching and thinking, how are you here? How are you her neighbour as well as Ruby's? It's like, you know what? We'll find out in due course what's the deal with Mrs. Flood. I'm sure we will. Anyway, Belinda is loaded up onto a spaceship with the robots and taken away, followed in close pursuit by the Doctor and the TARDIS. However, some type of glitch happens along the way, and the Doctor ends up arriving on the planet where they're headed 6 months before Belinda does, and eventually makes friends with a couple of the humans who work there under the robot's control. Anyway, Belinda eventually arrives and is told that she is the Queen. The planet is called Miss Belinda Chandra 1. It turns out to have actually been the planet, or the star, that Alan gave her years ago. That may have just been the star, and Miss Belinda Chandra 1 is the planet orbiting it. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, she is told that she is the Queen of Miss Belinda Chandra 1, and she will soon marry an artificial intelligence, and then she'll become the perfect fusion of human and robot well, not human, Miss Belinda Chandra kind and robot kind. Doctor manages to communicate with her in code, kind of telling her the history of Miss Belinda Chandra 1, but also every ninth word he drops her a word, and when all the ninth words are put together, she deciphers the message. The robot design, I think, for the robots is kind of cool. I mean, it's not as kind of big as, say, the robots from Dinosaurs on Spaceship, but it's still a pretty good one. Anyway, eventually they attempt to make an escape, along with several rebels, including Sasha 55, played by Evelyn Miller, Manny, played by Max Parker, and Scully, played by Caleb Hughes. However, things don't end up going so well, and some of the rebels end up getting killed, including Sasha 55. Watching this, and while it's a little bit rushed, given they only had a few minutes to kind of set her up, it sounded a bit as though Evelyn Miller's character, Sasha 55, she'd really bonded with the Doctor, and she may have even had a chance to be a companion, but in this case she gets disintegrated. you do feel bad for her. I mean, it was only very quick, but I honestly felt like she developed a friendship with the Doctor, even if it was only very brief in the 6 months. And to see her killed off, well, that's tough to watch. But anyway, they eventually managed to make it to... well, not all the robots are bad, I say. There is one cleaning robot that's kind of polishing. That's, I have to admit, kind of cute and also kind of funny, but anyway. The rebels eventually managed to get themselves, the Doctor, and Belinda to one of their bases, a medical base. And we do get to see Belinda's kind of medical knowledge in action, kind of asking about IV, medicine. I do like that. She's not... Yeah, while she is astounded by all of the kind of space and time going on around her, she does kind of settle back into her role as a nurse and a medical professional, and I think she does it quite well. However, upon realising that a lot of people blame her for this situation, given the kind of robots and the fact that she is the Queen, Belinda eventually agrees to go through with it and give herself up to the AI generator. Now, the AI itself, the design, while I admit it's quite cool, I do think it looks a little He-Man, if that makes sense. To me, it's kind of very kind of that era, kind of He-Man with the kind of big glowing red and green eyes and the kind of black shell of it. I feel it's very kind of that kind of 80s style, or maybe even little Transformers. I don't know. But they eventually realise it's not. The AI generator, the thing that she's supposed to marry, it's not actually AI. It's actually AL. And they realise it's actually Johnny Green's character of Alan. Because when Belinda was being taken to Miss Belinda Chandra 1, she and the Doctor both ended up encountering some type of glitch, some type of frizzle. And while in there, Belinda had kind of said that Alan was the one who gave her the star certificate. Go and get him, for God's sake. Turns out they did. 17 years ago, they managed to pick up Alan, and now he wants to pick up on the relationship that was a bit awkward, was actually very awkward. And he basically wants to control everything about Belinda, which is, she realized, one of the reasons why they didn't work, why she broke up with him. He was far too controlling and always corrected her on everything she did. I can definitely understand those kind of relationships. You definitely see them a lot in kind of popular fiction. But remembering something that the Doctor had told her in the camp, Belinda is able to defeat Alan by kind of whipping out the star certificates. Turns out he had one from the future as well. And by touching the two pieces of paper together, the same device at different points at the same time stream, it causes an explosion that eventually ends up shrinking Alan, to which he is subsequently sucked up by the polishing robots. I should admit, that's kind of a funny way to go. To me, it kind of reminds me of the Red Leech, if any of you remember from the Crimson Horror in 2013. They defeated Mrs. Gillyflower, played by the late Dame Diana Rigg, and when the Red Leech starts kind of crawling across the floor, separated from its host, it says, well, I have to take it somewhere where it'll be out of harm's way, only for Ada Gillyflower, played by Rachel Sterling, to find the creature with her blind cane and smash the juice out of it. To me, it kind of plays like that, but I don't know, that's just me. The humans and the robots make an agreement that, with their master destroyed, the humans and the robots make an agreement that they will live together in peace and harmony, working together. They also return the Doctor's TARDIS, and Belinda gets her first look at the inside of the TARDIS, which is very reserved. I mean, there are some, God, how to explain this properly? There are some who can go full force and whoa, it's bigger on the inside, but hers is kind of very reserved. It's it's bigger on the inside. Yeah, I can see that. To me, it kind of hits a little bit like John Bishop's reaction as Dan Lewis back in the Halloween apocalypse in 2021. When he sees the inside of the TARDIS, it's bigger on the inside. Oh, I can see that. It's called the TARDIS. I didn't mean to had one of these. I think his was a bit bigger, actually. Shut up. I don't know, it kind of hits to me like that. And we also do get a brief reminder that Varada Sethu was in Doctor Who last year, as we see a hologram of her character Mundy Flynn from the episode Boo. And they do slightly give an explanation for this, as the Doctor says Mundy Flynn is evidently her descendant. In the 51st century, she's an Anglican Marine, she's evidently from the same bloodline, same family, and honestly, companions or companion actors or actors who've appeared in Doctor Who before, they're not that uncommon nowadays. I mean, Freema Agyeman appeared in Army of Ghosts. They eventually explained that away by saying that Martha had a cousin who worked at Canary Wharf, Adiola, who never came home. Karen Gillan was in The Fires of Pompeii. They never explained that one, except for maybe a throwaway joke in The Pandorica Opens. The Doctor explains that the Romans invaded Earth several times over the period, to which Amy says, "Oh, I know. My favourite topic at school, invasion of the hot Italians." Yeah, I got marked down for the title. They never really addressed that one, but with Jenna Coleman's Clara Oswald, they set up an entire arc, and I feel that's maybe stretching it a bit. And they never addressed Bradley Walsh's one. He appeared in the Sarah Jane Adventures story Day of the Clown, but they never addressed that in Doctor Who, so, different character. Anyway, Belinda, upon seeing the inside of the TARDIS and hearing it's a time machine or whatever, unlike other companions who's like, yeah, I'm okay taking the long way home, she just wants to be returned to Earth back to the day she left as soon as possible. Which the Doctor kind of agrees to, only to find he can't. Like, when he tries to get there, every single time he sets a date for May or April 2024, he finds himself bouncing off it, until they eventually arrive and find planet Earth seemingly isn't there. So they kind of have to take the long way round. And that will ultimately set up the arc for this particular season, I imagine, of the Doctor trying to get Belinda home. But then more starts happening after he closes the doors. As the episode draws to a close, we see things floating in space, including a taxi and the Eiffel Tower, as well as a calendar marking the date of at least the first half of the finale, May 24, 2025. And that's left up to us to wonder exactly what's going to happen. I imagine that's going to be explained in stuff like Wish World and the Reality War. But, for the time being, I thought this was a pretty fun way to start off the latest series of Doctor Who. I'm glad Doctor Who is back. I don't want to lose it, but if we do have to lose it for a little while, then maybe we will. But I think for the first episode of Series 15, this was a good way to start off, and I can't wait to see what happens next with the Doctor and Belinda Chandra. The next episode up, coming next week, Lux. Well, then that'll involve, well, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, until then, see ya.